So everybody needs to get ready to feel like we're in the movie Groundhog's Day, because we are. So take a look from the Hill. As Biden struggles, Hillary waits for the call. Oh my God. Here's probably the last half or so of the article. They give a million reasons why Biden's a weak candidate. That's what the article starts with, okay? Then they go, as the primaries roll forward, especially with officials' thumbs on the scales, Biden will almost certainly win the candidacy in the absence of a brokered convention. How could Democrats replace their standard bearer? One idea has been to convince Biden to step aside in favor of the very popular Michelle Obama, seen as a sure bet to beat Trump. Wow, they really wrote that sentence. So far, though, the former First Lady has reportedly rebuffed all invitations to enter the fray. That leaves Clinton. Biden could choose Clinton as his running mate and then step down before the election and allow Hillary to run in his place. Clinton is the only VP candidate who would be able to pull off such a last-minute switch. She has the team, the resources, and the experience to be the nominee. Amy Klobuchar and former Georgia State Representative Stacey Abrams and Senator Kamala Harris do not. Clinton is ready and eager. She is desperate to avenge her 2016 loss, which she still blames on Putin, and has pumped up her public profile to keep herself in consideration. In past months, she has conducted endless interviews, promoted the uber-flattering 4-part Hulu film about herself, made headlines by attacking Sanders and Mark Zuckerberg, and fired unending broadsides against Trump. Most recently, she joined Vice President Biden in a town hall devoted to women's issues, during which she effusively endorsed her longtime colleague. She reminisced about their time together in the Obama administration, talked about their mutual love of Scranton, Pennsylvania, where her father grew up, and recalled meetings in the Situation Room. In fact, Clinton talked so much about their shared history that it was easy to forget that she was endorsing Biden. It almost sounded as though she was touting her own resume instead. Maybe she was. How would Hillary stack up as a nominee this time around? She certainly looks stronger and more fired up than Biden. She has the energy he lacks. She has a bigger following on social media, 28 million Twitter followers compared to 5 million, for instance. And she has a large devoted following who, like Hillary, still cannot believe she lost in 2016. She could count on former President Obama to campaign for her as Biden can, and she would have her ever-popular husband, Bill, helping out. In 2016, Democrats were not wildly excited about her candidacy, but the enthusiasm readings were better than Biden's today, as was her polling in critical battleground states. Hillary is hideously polarizing, but she would be a more forceful nominee than Biden, has enormous name recognition, and perhaps, most important, can begin and end a sentence without major detours. And she has not been credibly accused of sexual assault. Hillary may be Democrats' nominee of last resort. You know she wants it. And then I love how this ends. Liz Peek is a former partner of major bracket Wall Street firm Wertheim and Company. Follow her on Twitter. That whole article blowing smoke up Hillary's ass, saying, hey, maybe she should step in. And then the very last line there is, written by a Wall Street goon. Oh, it's too perfect. Oh, it's too perfect. Words cannot describe how disconnected these people are, these elitists are, from regular people. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants Hillary to step in. Just so everybody understands, for all of Biden's flaws, and he has many, namely, he really can't string together a coherent sentence, but he has more electoral upsides than Hillary did. Biden was way stronger in rural areas than Hillary was. A lot of those people voted for Bernie in 2016. Biden did really well with some voters that Hillary massively struggled with. Now, Biden's also, phenomenally weak with young people, but so is Hillary. So, listen, the polling right now might reflect that Hillary's doing a little bit better against Trump than Biden is against Trump, but the second she starts talking, she always tanks even more. I mean, that's been the dynamic her entire career. that the idea of her is better than the reality of her. When she's actually out there, when she's actually talking, when she's actually campaigning, her numbers go down more. And just so everybody understands, her polling from last year was a record low 36%. Usually when somebody loses an election and they go out of the public eye for a certain amount of time, their approval rating shoots up. Hers did not. It stayed down there, 36%. Donald Trump is in the spotlight every day, saying dumb things, doing dumb things, pushing bad policies, and his approval rating is significantly higher than Hillary Clinton's. So what does that tell you? She's an amazingly weak candidate. Amazingly weak candidate. And I do think that in the long run, Biden is a stronger candidate. I've told you guys, I was in the group of people saying before the pandemic, before the market crash, before the unemployment rate shot up, I thought Trump was like 70 to 80% favorite to win the election. But things change. A pandemic hits. The market crash. 30 million people are now unemployed. Now it's chaos. Now it's anybody's ball game. And the fact that Biden won the primary by not really saying anything and not campaigning in more than half the damn states, that tells me that he gets that default support. He gets the older anti-Trump people who all they care about is beating Trump. They don't care what you replace Trump with, and they went with what they think is the safe option, which is Biden. They don't know or they don't care that he's having trouble speaking. They just think, to them, the fact that Biden is hidden away, again, the idea of Joe Biden is better than the reality of Joe Biden. And I do think that even though Hillary, by the way, is way more sharp and with it mentally, I actually think Biden is still a candidate who is going to fare better against Trump than Hillary Clinton would. And furthermore, listen, the simplest reaction here is, we already ran that experiment and Hillary lost. You want to roll the dice again? Because that's the thing is, when it comes to electability, they will make the case that Hillary's electable. And it's like, she just lost to Trump. She just lost to him. So you're ignoring direct evidence to the contrary. It's amazing the mental gymnastics that these people are able to do. But guys, listen, honestly, even without having Hillary in the conversation and just talking about Biden versus Trump, in many ways, it does feel a little bit like Groundhog's Day, because it's another neoliberal corporatist, that's Biden's ideology, against Trump. And, that's terrifying, because that's the weakest possible scenario we could have been in. It really is. But now we're actually having the conversation of maybe actually Hillary against Trump. I am unconvinced at the idea that, hey, maybe they'll try some trickery and they'll get Biden to step down at the convention. I'm unconvinced by that. But if you were to do that, for the love of God, not Hillary. Like a lot of people are saying Andrew Cuomo, because they're pumping him out there now and showing him with his press conferences on COVID-19, and he hasn't done a great job with COVID-19. New York has the highest death rate, and more people dead here than anywhere else in the country. But they're pumping him out there to try to make him look good. And some people are saying, well, maybe they're prepping him to step in at the convention. I'm unconvinced by those theories right now. It's possible that changes. But I'm not an Andrew Cuomo supporter. But if you were to switch at the convention, do I want Cuomo or Hillary? Seriously, where's the question there? Where's the question? Obviously, you pick Cuomo over Hillary in that scenario. But I do think it's still going to be Joe Biden, bar, an even worse scenario with either his cognitive health or physical health or whatever it might be, or a bigger bombshell story. I don't know. I still think it's going to be Biden, but it really is amazing how I feel like we live in the movie Groundhog's Day. And we're not evolving. We're not moving on. We're not fully embracing the direction of the Democratic Party that it has to go in to stay relevant and to win. It's got to become more social democratic. It's got to drop the neoliberal corporatism. And they just keep smacking us in the face over and over. And back to the neoliberal corporatism, back to the neoliberal corporatism. It was Bill Clinton. It was Obama. It was Hillary who lost. And then now they're saying either Biden, neoliberal corporatist, or Hillary again. And by the way, the final point I'll make is this. Why is this article being written? Why is this article being written? And this is where the speculation starts. But, usually these things, it's not an accident. It's not an accident that this gets written. usually there'd be some line of communication between the writer in this case, Liz Peek, Wall Street goon, some sort of line of communication between Hillary or her team and this writer. And really, this is testing the waters. That's what this is. Hey, let's see the reaction. Let's put... And you'll know that it's really something to think about when you start seeing like a bunch of these articles. As soon as you start getting 3, 4, 5 of these articles, you know that this isn't organic. This is Hillary herself and her team going, Biden looks pretty weak, dog. I think maybe you might want to take a look at maybe switching me in there and making sure that, we can have another crack at this thing with Trump. So it's possible, don't get me wrong, it's possible that this Liz Peek really woke up one day and said, it would be a great idea. Let's have Hillary again. That's possible. But I actually think it's much more likely that, because none of this stuff is organic usually, it's much more likely that it's planted. You have the Clinton allies writing the Clinton propaganda. And she's probably testing the waters to see, hey, is there a way I could take this from Joe? Is there a way I could be the nominee without having to do any work? So I don't know, man. We'll see, but it's so depressing. Everything about this political era. And you wonder why people like me and many of you guys who listen to my show, you wonder why we feel like we want to burn it all down. It's because this is a nightmare. Guys, all I care about, I want Medicare for all. I want free college. I want a living wage. I want to end the wars. I want UBI. I want a Green New Deal with millions of jobs created for working people. This is what I want. I want to get the money out of politics. I want to have a direct democracy law where you can more clearly impact our system and not get destroyed by corrupt politicians who are skirting the will of the people. This is what I want. This is all I care about. And when you keep smacking me in the face with neoliberal corporatists, people who are responsible for NAFTA, they were pushing TPP, they were for the Iraq War, they were for the Afghanistan War, it's devastating. These people were for Wall Street deregulation, like all the things that I despise. That's what they were for, and they keep force-feeding us them. And all I can say is there is no winning. There is no winning. So if at the convention they stick with Biden, okay, well, good luck. He really does have cognitive decline, so it's going to be a tough election. He could beat Trump. He could. If there's enough of just an anti-Trump vote, sure, he could. But either way, it's a lose-lose. If it's Hillary, it's a lose-lose. If it's Cuomo, it's a lose-lose. Though slightly less probably, but still a lose-lose. It's like, it's tough, man. I know a lot of people who've totally checked out of politics after this election, and you can't blame them, because a lot of this stuff is like psychological torture. Like I said, it's like we're in the movie Groundhog's Day.